Hi guys, give me 1 second. I have to switch on the audio on my laptop and then we can get started. All right. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel / my podcast. Now, in today's episode, we are going to be talking about how someone makes you feel is more important than how you feel about them. This is something that I personally have struggled with a lot in my entire life. I honestly have reached a point where it was very, very detrimental to my mental health. And that's when I realized I was making such a mistake when it came to this. So, in today's episode, we're going to go deeper into the story behind why I thought it was important for me to talk about this in this episode. And I'm also going to dive a little bit deeper into what was my thought process actually behind all the actions that I took and why I think it's so important for us to shift the narrative of constantly focusing on how we feel about someone else and shift that into how does that person make us feel? How do we feel in their presence? And so on and so forth. So that's what we're getting into in this episode. It's a pretty important episode because this was a lesson that took me 30 years to learn. I'm not kidding. And it's definitely very difficult because I think all along, all throughout our lives, we put so much emphasis on how we feel. Like, I love this person, so I'm going to give it my all. Or I value this person, so I'm going to give it my all. Or I put this person on a certain pedestal, so I am willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that this relationship is fulfilling or this relationship works out. And it could be any kind of relationship, it doesn't have to be the romantic sense. It can be even in the familial relationships or even in your platonic relationships. And I think that for a very huge part of my life, it was always about how I felt about that person. It was never the other way around. The thought never even occurred to me to think, oh, well, I don't feel right around this person, or this person makes me feel like crap. No, it was never that. Like, I never put that into consideration. It was always, well, it doesn't matter how they treat me or how they make me feel, as long as I feel that I love them or I care about them and I just want to, keep on giving. And if I look back at my entire life that I've led up until now, I can definitely see a very consistent pattern of behavior in a very negative way, may I add, okay? It's very, very negative. There's a consistent pattern of behavior where I have completely disregarded how they made me feel, and it was just all, I feel this way about this person, so I'm going to go all out and do this, even though it was really messing with my head, and honestly, it was emotionally, mentally draining me as well. So the story behind this episode is that recently I found myself in the same pattern of behavior, that same pattern of situation. And I think we've talked about this before in one of my previous episodes, that I think life keeps putting you in the same cycle of situations until you learn your lesson, until you take a different step. And so I found myself in the same situation where I was constantly giving and giving and giving because I felt that way about that person, right? I was like, I feel this about this person, so I want to just keep doing whatever I want to do and make sure that this relationship works out. Well, the other way around was not true, They actually did not care about how I felt or even bothered, to be very honest with you. They just didn't. And it's not right or wrong. It's just they didn't feel that way about me, And I respect that. I respect that. And so I found myself in the same situation, and this has happened multiple times in my life, and it's always been, yeah, I'm going to choose them, and I'm going to keep doing this till I'm exhausted and stuff like that. But this time, I recognized the pattern of situation. I was like, 30 years and you're still in the same situation. It means something's wrong and you have got to change the way that you approach the situation. And so what I did was I walked away. Yeah, this was early October. Yeah. I walked away from the situation and I said no, because I sat down with myself and I was like, okay, well, how do I feel about the entire situation? Or rather, how do they make me feel? And turns out they didn't give two hoots about me. And there's no right or wrong. I don't hold it against them. It's just how they feel, and I respect that. And turns out, I didn't feel happy in that entire equation. I didn't feel valued. I didn't feel loved. And it was in that moment, and I cried so much on this realization. Like, I even remember the date, it was October 6th. I cried so much upon realizing this. I was like, I deserve to be loved too. I deserve to feel the same way as I try to make other people feel around me. And I think I'm gonna cry even like I'm saying this, because it's pretty close. I mean, it's up November 10th right now as I'm recording this, but this was October 6th, and it was like floodgates, and I started crying upon this realization. It was just very, very intense for me to realize that, I deserve to feel loved too. And that's something that I had never put my foot down before. And it was a very big realization for me. I cried so much. I cried so much. Like, honestly, the next 3 days, I was just crying upon that realization. And it wasn't like sad or anything. It was just, yeah, I reached that stage of self-love where I know I deserve the love that I give. I deserve to feel loved. And that was a very powerful realization for me. So I think the emotions kind of overwhelmed me. It was a very beautiful feeling. I remember the date because it just meant so much to me. It was like a leap in my self-love journey kind of thing. So I walked away from that situation, and it hurt, obviously. It hurt because it went against every single instinct that I have, or I have developed, I guess I will say. It's not that I have it, it's just that I've developed that instinct over the years to just keep giving and giving and not worry or not think about how I'm feeling in the process or how that person makes me feel. So it's been a month now, right? November 10th. So let's talk about how I'm feeling about it. One, I have zero regrets. Like, even though it's been painful to walk away from that situation and walk away from the person in question, I feel light. I feel happy. And honestly, I think a part of me feels that I've honored my inner child by taking that dramatic step of walking away, of prioritizing how that person made me feel versus how I feel about them. And it was very powerful. It feels very empowering. And one thing that I do want to say is it's not that, I've walked away forever or something like that. No, I stay away until there comes a point where there is reciprocity. I feel the same way as, that person makes me feel the same way as I make them feel. And there needs to be some sort of balance. And that could happen in the future. It's just, at this moment in time, I don't. And that's why I need to walk away. So that was beautiful for me, to put myself first, and very emotional. And honestly, I don't regret it at all. I don't regret it. It's been painful, and frankly, it's been there at the back of my mind that I did something that was very different from what I have done all my life. And that uneasiness and that discomfort is definitely there. It's there at the back of my mind. But at the same time, I'm finding comfort in the discomfort. So I know it was the right decision for me to make, if that makes sense. Right? So that's the story. That's how this whole thing came about, because I think it's so important to recognize how someone makes you feel and to prioritize how someone makes you feel. Because, like I mentioned before, so many times, I think it's more that we don't believe we are deserving of the love that we give out. We don't believe that we are deserving of the feeling that we try to make everyone around us feel. And that's so sad. That's so sad, you know? Because I think we deserve to be loved too. I deserve to feel that love. Each one of us, we we deserve to feel what we try so hard for everyone else to feel. And I know that this, for me in particular, is a very conscious decision that I make, because as much as possible, given how much heaviness my entire life has been right since the beginning, as much as possible all throughout my life, I've always tried to help people feel lighter. This is something that I've been very instinctively driven to do. And it's probably why today I have a podcast or a YouTube channel where I talk about these things. I have conversations about topics like this, because this is something that I have done my entire life. My entire life has oriented towards me helping other people feel a little bit lighter, a little bit happier, cheer them up a little bit, because I frankly have had to deal with a lot of heaviness in my entire life. And I just, all throughout, I just never wanted other people to feel the way that I was feeling inside. And they never knew, I was like this hyperactive, bubbly girl who was always so cheerful, but no one really knew what I was struggling with internally. And frankly, I didn't want someone else to feel the same way that I was feeling inside. And frankly, also, it always occurred to me that just because, because I'm also going through something that's tough and rough and dark in my life, maybe someone else might be. And so I just thought it was my life purpose to make them feel a little bit lighter, even if I didn't know that they were going through something or not. So I think my entire life has oriented towards that. But in that pursuit, I guess I would say, I forgot to take into account the other way around, how that person was making me feel. I was so focused on how I was making them feel and making sure that they were comfortable around me, making sure that, I made their life a little bit lighter. But it took me 30 years to realize that I also deserve same thing back to me as well. I also deserve to be around people who care about how I feel, how I'm doing, how they make me feel. And so, yeah, that's where the topic for this came about. So I'm just looking down at my notes. I actually started using, I'm going to show it on the YouTube channel, but this is my podcast content planner that I created. Actually, I was just doing it on notebooks, and then I ended up creating a podcast content planner for myself. This is part of the Simple series by The Marketing Nomad. If you want to check it out, the link is in the description box, and then you can definitely check it out for yourself. So I usually script all of my episodes, as you guys know, so I'm just gonna look at my notes. This is my trademark method of how I script it, and it's very unique to me. I don't think I've seen anyone else do it this way, but yeah, this method of sectioning out my podcast content is actually something that's implemented in my podcast content planner from the Simple series by The Marketing Nomad. So yeah, if you want to check that out, definitely do. All right, so one thing that I've come to realize is when we don't prioritize how someone makes us feel, I think that's us neglecting ourselves. I think that's us neglecting our needs and, frankly, our wants too. And when there is neglect, we neglect ourselves. It does affect our well-being. It does impact our well-being negatively. it is detrimental to our emotional well-being, our mental well-being, and even our physical well-being as well. So for me, what I want to share, or what I want you to take away from this episode, is that it's great you care about how someone feels around you, but it's also equally important for you to have that self-awareness about how someone else is making you feel as well. I think it's equally important. I think that is what makes a relationship balanced and healthy, where both of you care about how you are making each other feel. And it doesn't have to be like a romantic relationship, even a platonic one, even a familial one. I think that's where the relationship becomes the strongest, when you both are equally aware that this is how I make the other person feel, this is how they make me feel, and I'm okay with it and I'm happy with it. And then, you move forward with that relationship. So, yeah, for me, I think when you prioritize how someone makes you feel, I think there is a certain balance, and that balance is important for our overall well being. For me, I think looking back at the experience, the most difficult thing for me was telling myself that I deserve I deserve to feel loved. I deserve the happiness that one gets when a relationship is mutually beneficial. Yeah. I think that was the hardest part for me, like recognizing that and taking a step back and just letting go. That was hard for me, because at that point there was a thought in my head, well, am I being selfish? And I'm sure a lot of people are going to resonate with this as well. When we put ourselves or our needs first, and I wouldn't even say need first, I think I would just say when we recognize that we have needs and we have wants. I don't know why it is, maybe it's the conditioning of the society, but there's this feeling that we are being selfish, or we feel guilty that maybe we are not supposed to be doing that. And frankly, it took me a lot of time to understand that prioritizing my needs and wants is not being selfish. It's actually healthy, and it's necessary if I want to fill my cup, and I can't give if my cup isn't filled, right? So for me, I think recognizing that it's okay for me to put my needs and wants to at least the top, or having that reciprocity is important. Yeah, that was important. And it was hard. It was hard for me to recognize that. I think what I want to say is that each one of us, we deserve to feel good in a relationship, or in any kind of relationship. I think we deserve to feel valued. We deserve to feel wanted. We deserve to feel loved. We deserve to feel happy. We deserve to feel peace. We deserve to feel secure. And to get what we deserve, we have to first recognize that we are not getting it, or we have to recognize that it's okay to ask for it. It's okay to want that for ourselves. So I guess one thing that I want to say is self-reflection is really important. You need to have that constant evaluation of whatever relationships are there in your life. Like, how do I feel about this person? Or how does that person make me feel? Is that good? Is that bad? Do they make me feel peaceful? Do I feel my anxiety rise around them? All of these are so important to ask ourselves, especially when, we tend to go on autopilot in relationships. We can tend to just keep giving, and just go into that autopilot that we don't stop to think, okay, well, how does that person make me feel? How am I feeling about this? Like, about this entire situation? How am I feeling in this relationship? So it's important to break that autopilot and to keep reflecting from time to time, you know, what is the impact that this relationship is having on me? How is this affecting me? How is that person making me feel? You know? And it's also important to observe your body. You know, do you feel your anxiety rising? If something's off, so on and so forth. So I think the first step to breaking this cycle of not prioritizing your needs, your wants, and how you feel or how that person makes you feel is self-awareness. It's constantly reflecting on every single relationship at different points in time, because today you might feel like, okay, I'm feeling good about this, but tomorrow you might not feel that way. So it's important to have that constant evaluation of, how does this person make me feel? And so yeah, that's actually what I've written in my notes as well. I think we neglect ourselves because we don't think we are deserving of feeling good. And that's one thing that I'm learning how to shift in my mind, that I deserve it. I absolutely deserve it. And the only person who can give me that is me, you know? And if I feel that I'm not getting what I want, okay, then I have to walk away. That's it. That's the thing that I have to do for myself, because I don't believe in asking someone to change or, you know, waiting around for them to change. I think that if someone values you and, you know, they care about you, they will care about how you feel. I really believe that. And if they're not, it just means they're not supposed to be where you have put them to be. It's as simple as that for me. You know, there used to be a time in my life where I would beg people to treat me a certain way, to treat me right. I keep begging and they would never listen. And they would honestly never care about how I felt or how they were making me feel. No, they didn't. And they never did also, you know, how much ever I begged, it didn't impact. And so a lesson that I learned from those experiences was, the people who love you, the people who genuinely care about you will care about how they're making you feel. They will, you know, and if you tell them just maybe once that I'm not, you know, I want to feel this way, I'm pretty sure they are going to do whatever it is that they feel they can within their power to make you feel secure. And if they can't, it's just, there's a mismatch in what you want and what they can give, and that's nobody's fault. It's just how it is. So you might as well take yourself out of the equation. That's what I truly believe. And I think that has helped me with my mental and emotional health a lot. Just understanding that it's nobody's fault if someone can't give you what you want. You just have to take yourself out of the equation and be around people who can naturally give you that, whose default is giving you that. And one thing that I keep asking myself is, if roles were reversed, okay? Sorry, I'm still recovering from severe viral flu, so yeah. One thing that I keep asking myself, and I found that I've kept asking myself, is, if roles were reversed, okay, if they were feeling what I was feeling, like this lack and not getting what I wanted, and they just let me know, you know, I'm not feeling very secure, or how would I react? And I know myself. I know that if I genuinely cared for that person and I genuinely wanted the relationship to strengthen, I would have, you know, sat down with them and worked things out. That's just who I am. And I think that I deserve someone doing that for me as well, at least caring how they are making me feel. I think that's just fundamental. So for me, it's like, if roles were reversed, how would I react? And if I feel that there is a disconnect, one, I don't blame the other person. They're just enacting what they feel. And if what they feel is not what I want, then I have to take myself out of the equation. It's not force them to feel what I want them to feel. No, that's not right, right? And that's probably another podcast episode that we'll get into at some point. So for me, I think, that's where I want to take this podcast episode, You've got to first understand that you are deserving. You are deserving of feeling good in the relationships that are in your life. You are deserving of it. I'm going to say it again because it is so important. You are deserving of it. And it really begins with you believing that you deserve to feel good. You deserve to feel peace in the relationships that you have in your life. That is not being selfish. You are loving yourself, and I don't think that is selfish. That can never be selfish, So yeah, it first begins with you believing that you are deserving of it, and second, asking for it, asking for what you want. And if it cannot be given, let them go with peace and love, because can't force someone to give you what you want. They either do it willingly or you walk away. Those are the only two options. And you walk away and you find someone who can, give it to you, give you the kind of love that you deserve or the kind of peace that you deserve. That's it. Or that you want. Yeah. That's it. That's pretty much it. I only see those two options at this point in my life. And I frankly believe that the people who care about you, the people who genuinely love you, they will care about how they're making you feel. They will. It's just a default. Like, you think about yourself in the relationships that you are. You naturally care about how you are making them feel. And that's how someone else is going to feel about you, because they care about you. It's just how we are as humans. We naturally care about the people that we care about, right? We naturally care how they're feeling when we care about them. And if someone is not making you feel that way, and if you're feeling neglected, if you're feeling overlooked, then don't you think that speaks more about how they feel about you? That's all I want to ask that question out there. So I think one thing that I've written in my notes is we each deserve mutually fulfilling relationships. Each of us deserve that. And I think it first begins with us knowing that, it's okay to want to feel good. It's okay to want that for ourselves. And yeah, I think that's why I cried so much. Like, it was October 6th. I remember even the date. It's like, I deserve to feel loved too. I deserve to feel peace too. I deserve to feel that someone is trying to make me feel good. I deserve all of that. I deserve all of that. And more than deserve, I think I want that for myself. And if I'm not getting it, then I have to walk away and find it in people who are just naturally going to give me what I want. And that's not me forcing them to, it's just their natural state of being because of how they feel about me. So yeah, my conclusion for this entire episode is that it's important to keep checking in with yourself about how you feel about this particular person or this particular relationship. How is it making you feel? Do you feel stressed, or do you feel peace? Do you feel anxious all the time? Do you feel like you're on the edge? Do you feel nervous constantly? Do you feel that at some point something's just going to keep going wrong? Or do you feel secure? Do you feel that no matter what it is, both of you are going to work things out? You feel loved, you feel cared for, you feel wanted. That's also important too, right? So yeah, it's important to keep checking in with yourself and respecting that you are an individual person. You have your needs, your wants, and it's okay to have your needs and your wants. It's okay to ask for your needs to be met. It's okay to ask for your wants to be met. And if it isn't met, with peace and love, go where your needs and wants are met. That's it. Don't force someone to give it to you. Just go where it is naturally going to find you. I ran out of space on my camera, so give me a second to just hit audio record. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I ran out of space on my camera and I had to kind of run around a bit. But where was I? I was talking a little bit about the courage. I think you can understand that your needs are not being met. You can understand that your wants are not being met, but it's pointless and useless if you don't find the courage to walk away from situations, from relationships that are not serving you. I think that's the point that I want to drive home. For me, it's been a month and 4 days, right? And I'm going to be honest with you, it hurts. It still hurts. But at the same time, I don't think it would have ever changed. And I think finding that courage to walk away was the best thing that I've done for myself this year. Yeah, it definitely was. And it's hard. It's really hard. I understand that. It's really, really hard to walk away because there's always that guilt, that sense of, oh, I'm being selfish. No, it's not. It's really not. Because it's not fair to you. It's not fair to the other person as well. And when you're walking away, you're making things fair for the two of you. They deserve to be, in a friendship or a relationship with someone who feels naturally at peace with what they can give, and you don't. So it's just an unbalance, and it's nobody's fault. I think it's nobody's fault. It's just they can't give you what you want, what you need, and that just means you have to go where you are naturally given what you need, what you want. It's just as simple as that. So yeah, that brings me to the end of this entire episode. I really hope you liked it. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, because that tells you every single time I do upload a video. And of course, if you're listening on the podcast as well, thank you so much for joining in all the way up until here. And yeah, if you guys want, please do check out my planners, trackers, and journals. They are the Simple series by the Marketing Nomad. There are a total of 17 as I'm uploading this podcast episode, but there will definitely be more. The link is in the description box below. You can also check out my book, 0 to 4 Figures. That's a business book on digital entrepreneurship. And then I have another book called Self-Loved, which is a compilation of 1,000 journal prompts aimed for healing, growth, and self-discovery. Other than that, if you want to reach out to me, you want to talk to me, you want to have a conversation with me, you can definitely do so in the comment section below, or you can reach out to me on Instagram and send me a message over there. I do my best to reply, but yeah, sometimes I do miss a few, but I do my best to reply over there. So yeah, that brings me to the end. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you in my next podio. Bye-bye.